The conversation about Jesus' suffering and death is enclosed in a dazzling foreshadowing of the resurrection. God affirms Jesus' identity. The disciples are stunned speechless, and Jesus resumes his mission with a demonstration of his power over evil. A reading from Luke chapter 9. Now about 8 days after the sayings, Jesus took with him Peter and John and James, and went up on the mountain to pray. And while he was praying, the appearance of his face changed, and his clothes became dazzling white. Suddenly they saw two men, Moses and Elijah, talking to him. They appeared in the glory and were speaking of his departure, which he was about to accomplish at Jerusalem. Now Peter and his companions were weighed down with sleep, but since they had stayed awake, they saw his glory and the two men who stood with him. Just as they were leaving him, Peter said to Jesus, "Master, it is good for us to be here. Let us make 3 dwellings, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah," not knowing what he had said. While he was saying this, a cloud came and overshadowed them, and they were terrified as they entered the cloud. Then from the cloud came a voice that said, "This is my son, my chosen. Listen to him." When the voice had spoken, Jesus was found alone, and they kept silent, and in those days told no one any of the things they had seen. The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God. Good morning. As I woke up this morning to 20 below, I was hoping that winter would transfigure into spring at some time soon, but that's not going to happen anytime soon, I'm afraid. I'm a visual kind of person. When I think about transfiguration or transforming something, the cold weather brought to mind something that I've done in the past, and I bet you have too, taking a pot of boiling water and throw it up in the air when it's 40 below and watch it transform from water to steam. But I'm also another visual person. One year we brought a couple things to Kids Club to talk about transformation, and we got a little beater here, and the beater and a package of pudding and a little milk transforms something every day into something special, pudding, with a little external help. Transformation, transfiguration. That's what the disciples saw on the top of the mountain. And the other thing that I like to think about when I think about transformation, something that you kids might recognize, and parents and grandparents, I don't have anything with me right now, but the Transformers. Okay, Transformers, you kids, yes? Yeah, okay. Our kids played with Transformers a lot. And the concept behind Transformers is that an everyday object, like a car or a truck, can turn into something supernatural and crime fighting and special. So transfiguration, in my mind, means that Jesus transformed into something extraordinary and very special. And it's no wonder the disciples were afraid and didn't tell anybody what they had seen, because think about it. You go down and say, "Wow, look what I saw." People would say you're nuts. But the disciples, before this happened, I think had a little inkling about who this guy was through the things that he had done up to this point. So the transfiguration is proof that Jesus is Lord and Jesus is special. There's another thing that I want to think about. When Luke's account said the cloud opened up and the voice said, "This is my son, listen to him." Think about that as encouragement to Jesus. Jesus knew what lay ahead of him after in the coming weeks as he went to Jerusalem. He had said earlier that he was going to die on the cross. So he had an idea of what was to come. And so the experience on the mountaintop was God's encouragement to him to say, you can do this. You got it. I've got your back. You can go ahead and fulfill the prophecy. So encouragement. That's what I want to leave you with today, is encouragement as we go through, as we begin the Lenten season, as we move towards Easter and the resurrection. We can be encouraged of the resurrection and that God does have our back no matter what we're going through, no matter what we're struggling with. We're encouraged that God and Jesus have our back, and we're there, and they're there for us. So the challenge for me, and maybe for you as well during this Lenten season, is to find encouragement and encourage others. Think about people who have encouraged you in the past through a kind word, a hug, maybe even just a hand on the shoulder, a card or a phone call, and what that meant to you at that point. So encouragement can mean a lot to someone. So the challenge I want to leave with everybody through this Lenten season is to encourage each other. Encourage each other at work, at home, at school, places where you find recreation. Pass along an encouraging word, and it means a lot. So I'm going to thank each one of you for your service in this community, through your help in supporting the Honduras team. That made a difference in my life this last January as I traveled to Honduras. I want to thank each and every one of you for that, for your friendship, and for being part of this family of faith through Jesus Christ.